Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you about Noom. Has Noom helped you? I believe it has.
Oh, that's got an app. You can do tracking. It's terrific.
It does. Noom builds personal plans that can meet individual needs. That's the thing. Takes into account any dietary restrictions, medical issues, other personal needs. That helps build a plan that works for you. And yes, so I know that you've had your own personalized program here that you've been working on. And
it's weight loss This is weight loss results that last. They stick around because you get yourself into a lifestyle change. That's what matters.
That's mainly it. You can't just say, I'm going to cut that out for a month and then go back to it. That's not what it is. So I'm glad it's helping you. That's great. And it really does. I like the psychology and biology-based approach here. Yeah. Noom Weight uses psychology. That's why they say losing weight starts with your brain, but it also takes into account your unique biological factors, Jimmy. All of your multitude flora and fauna that goes on inside of you there. Sure. Yeah. Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com, Noom.com here. Based on 3.5-year study of actively engaged Noom users with minimum starting BMI of 25. Individual results may vary. Visit our website for more information. Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit more about Rocket Money. It's the start of a new year. It's the perfect time to get organized, set your goals, prioritize what matters most. And for me, top priority is getting myself together here. Financial wellness, doing that, which that feels important, just feels like adult stuff that you have to do. And thanks to Rocket Money, my goals feel achievable now. They show me all my subscriptions in one place, help me easily cancel ones I forgot that I've been paying for, which happened to me, absolutely happened to me. For years, I was paying for something. I was like, what is going on here? Rocket Money found it and saved me lots of money since then, because it's been a while. So they did a great job here. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder today. That's rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder. rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Welch's can't make everything make sense. Like why your mom still listens to the radio or what she meant when she sent that emoji. But a zero sugar drink that's still full of fruit flavor, we made that make sense. And strawberry, passion fruit, Concord grape, and more. You gotta sip it to get it. New Welch's Zero Sugar. Let's fruit stuff up.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Small Town Murder Express.
Yay, choo-choo!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you so much for joining us today on another wild, incredibly insane episode of Small Town Murder Express. And this is, you can't pack much more into an hour than we're going to pack in today because it is absolutely wild. So I'm going to jump right in here and quickly before we get started, shutupandgivememurder.com. Tickets for live shows September 20th, Minneapolis. We're almost there, everybody. It's selling,
so close.
And
Holy
we're going to be our biggest show ever. Be a part of the biggest Shut Up and Give Me Murder of all time. We can't wait. So do that. Yeah. We're also in Milwaukee. The next night we released a few of our comps and all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, it was sold out. So get your tickets for the rest of the year, too, because a lot of them are selling out, and you might go to get them, and they're not there. So get them now. Shutupandgivememurder.com. While you're there, get your tickets for the Halloween virtual live show.
Here we go.
Can't wait for that. We're going to be in costumes, and it'll be just like a regular live show, except you don't have to go anywhere. You can be in your living room. You could be sitting on your roof. I don't care where you are. Wherever you have Wi-Fi.
Come to you. Yeah.
We're coming to you. Yeah, we don't do we don't do 50 shows a year live. So a lot of people are saying, why don't you come here? Why don't you come there? We do. We go everywhere with the virtual live show.
We'll come to your house.
Yeah, we're coming to your house. So shutupandgivememurder.com is where you find all of that. Patreon.com/crime in sports is where you get all the bonus material. You listen to this. You listen to regular small town murder, crime, and sports. Your stupid opinions. You want more? We got you covered. Anybody $5 a month or above, you are going to get everything that we have in the bonus section. Hundreds of episodes you get immediately. New ones every other week. One crime and sports, one small town murder. You're going to get it all, everybody. This week, what you're going to get for crime and sports, we're going to talk about James Pud Galvin. Pud. He is the first steroid user in baseball history in 1889.
Hell yeah.
You might ask, what did they use to make steroids in 1889?
Maybe you don't want to know.
Holy shit, you don't want to know probably, but we'll get into all that and how the early performance-enhancing drugs and how crazy they were. And then for Small Town Murder, we're going to talk about a very popular one. We're going to get back into old-timey murders, dip into the old newspaper archives, and find all sorts of crazy shit there. So that's patreon.com/crime in sports. And you get a shout out at the end of the regular show.
You bet.
So that said, I think it's time, everybody. Let's do this to clear the lungs, center ourselves, arms to the sky. Let's all shout, shut up and give me murder. Let's do this, everybody.
All right.
Let's go on a trip. Shall we? All right.
Go.
We're going to Canada this week.
Couple of rambling men across the border.
Going across the border. We haven't been there in a while, so this will be fun here. We're going to Oshawa, Ontario, Canada. Oshawa. Now, if you're Canadian and local, you're going to go, that's not a small town. There's a lot of people there. True. It's bigger than the towns that we would normally do. But the way this has an distinctively small town feel to the murder and all the stuff that goes on around it. It does not. It's not feel. Doesn't feel like a big city thing at all. Feels very small town murder, and you'll understand why because the case Oshawa. The case is crazy.
Oshawa.
Oshawa. Yeah, I think it's like Ottawa, like Oshawa.
Oh, okay.
I think it's said like that. 45 minutes or so to Toronto, depending on time of day and traffic. 33 hours to Airdrie, Alberta, which was our last Canada case, which was over a year ago. It's a long time ago. Episode 440, so that tells you a lot. We're at 526 right now, so long time ago.
That was a bus ride?
A character of evil. Yeah, that was the bus ride guy. That was
it's a tough bus ride.
Fucking bonkers. Population of this town, like I said, well above what we normally do, and we'll never do one more than this. 185,611
Sweet
here.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's a big place, but when you hear the murder, you'll go, I get it. Okay. So median household income here is about $100,700 Canadian.
Canadian money.
So that's like, what, 36,000 American maybe? I don't know. $14. Median home cost here, $802,843, again, Canadian. Yeah. Nickname for this town is Canada's Motor City. This is the Detroit of Canada. This is where
what do they make there?
GM cars.
Oh,
GM plants are here, so that's why. A little bit of history here. Okay, 1836, Edward Skae, S-K-A-E, he relocated his general store here, and it became a big popular meeting place because it had kind of a makeshift post office inside. Sure. So in 1842, he's the postmaster, Skae. He applied for official post office status. Oh. But was told not in America when they do it, it'll be like you can't have that name because there's another city in your state with that name. Here they just told him that's not a good name.
Nah, try again.
So you can't be Skae. That's not going to work. You gotta, because it was known.
That sounds way too close to it's gay.
It's gay. Yeah, it's Skae's Corners is what it's called.
Okay.
So they were like, nope, can't have that. That sucks. Need a better name. They were like, okay.
Your name.
So their reply was Oshawa is what they came up with, which translates to where we must leave our canoes. So I guess that would be like a...
They can do that in 5 letters, huh?
5 letters. I guess that
6
letters. I guess because it would be it's on the shores of the lake, so I guess that would make sense there. The name Oshawa was one of the primary motor cities of Canada there, and it was adopted as the post office name immediately. In 1849, it was incorporated as a village. In 1846, there was about 1,000 people here. It was mainly farmland.
Sure.
They had a couple of churches, a post office, and shit like that. A fulling mill? I don't know what a fulling mill is, but they had it there.
That's how they fill it.
They all filled up, all full up. A brewery, a couple distilleries, a machine shop, that kind of shit. But GM factories are where the main jobs have been, obviously, since there was cars and that sort of thing. Now, reviews of this town, Canada doesn't have the sites that have the reviews of towns like we do here. But I did find some people on Reddit giving their opinions. So this is a review. There's no stars, but you'll understand the stars when you hear it.
We'll gather.
You'll go, that sounds like 1 star, I believe. Here is one guy here. The only downside of living in Oshawa is having to deal with all the people who buy into the idea of, quote, the dirty schwa. The dirty, I don't know what that's about. It says, yes, the urban sprawl north of the city is running into problems with Toronto gangs moving in. That's just makes. In this country, we just laugh when we hear Canadian gangs because we're like, come on, guys.
Toronto Crips.
It's like when and this is going to connect. Remember I told you I was watching that Hell's Angels documentary? It was all Canadian shit. And I'm like, I'm just not afraid of a man with a French accent. I'm just not. That is, that actually has something to do with our show today, which is the weirdest thing that those two things crossed here. It says, but don't believe the hype. It's a nice place, has bike paths, parks aplenty. It's just like any town in Ontario with its issues and benefits. I've lived here over a decade. It's the hometown of my children. The biggest problem you'll likely find here is the jackass setting off fireworks at 2 a.m. on a Wednesday.
Yeah, but that's true.
So that's what I mean. Sounds like a small townish compared to Toronto. And then somebody replied to that saying, do you live in North Oshawa? I do, and it's garbage. So they're arguing with the person. Sure, the park.
That's a fireworks shooter.
Yeah, it's 2 a.m. So what?
Who gives a shit?
Go back to sleep, pussy. Sucks. Jesus.
Yeah.
Sure, the park is nice, but the people in the area don't care about the area in general. Garbage is everywhere. Noise from both inconsiderate neighbors and what I assume are, quote, gangsters, literally tearing up our street in front of the park where my kids and a load of other kids play. I don't know why. I've never heard of a gang being like, let's fuck up the street and just like tearing up the. There's no money in that.
I've never heard of gangsters like, you just want to go do burnouts by the park?
A?
Who gives a shit?
And then follow that with an A? No. A few years back, there was a literal spike strip on my street and probably 14 cruisers in the neighborhood because who knows that, not to mention the 3 or 4 shootings in the Winfield area. Oshawa is not good. Pro, it has amenities. That's it. Okay. So people disagree on Oshawa, we'll just say. Things to do here. The annual Peony Festival. Peony Festival?
Oh,
I think
peonies. They're
flowers. Yeah, they're flowers. Yeah. It's hosting the annual festival here at the Botanical Gardens. It celebrates horticulture, arts, and heritage. In other words, me and you would be bored shitless here.
It'll smell nice, though.
Yeah, this smells great. Is there a place to sneak off and drink from a flask? Because I'm bored.
Can we make it stink around here?
Man, many of the more than 300 peony plants will be in glorious bloom in the gardens, and the same number of cut blooms will be on display during the Ontario Peony Society's Judged Flower Show.
Oh,
a lot of pressure going on there.
Like flour, all right.
It's going to be flowery. There's handcrafted items market and artisan zone, activities for children, live music performances that are so good you don't tell us any of the bands. Those are always the best. The best bands show up.
Bare Naked Ladies are headlining, I'm sure.
The best bands show up. Best bands show up unannounced to random flower festivals. That's where you get the hot bands right there.
Yeah. So you get everybody that's in the top 10 charts.
No shit. Art and photography contests, and there's a tour of a 12-acre historical garden and a mansion as well. And if that's not enough for you, you can visit Lightning McQueen at the Canadian Automotive Museum.
What?
The real Lightning McQueen's going to be there, everybody.
You mean Owen Wilson?
He's there. Just wearing like a fucking car costume. It's excited to have a full-scale model of Lightning McQueen from the iconic main character from Pixar's Cars animated film franchise.
I can't believe they have to qualify that.
Like, everybody knows. I think we know here. Lightning McQueen is part athlete, part stock car.
Ka-chow.
Okay. McQueen is voiced in the films by actor Owen Wilson and was named after late Pixar animator Glenn McQueen, who passed away in 2002. Okay. McQueen's shape was influenced by sports cars like the Corvette C6, Ford GT40, as well as sports stars Muhammad Ali, Charles Barkley, and Joe Namath.
Hold on.
Yes, I was just going to say. Okay.
What?
I don't understand. I don't get that part at all. I never got any of that out of Lightning McQueen.
The car looks like Muhammad Ali.
And Charles Barkley and Joe Namath.
Joe Namath.
Joe Namath, who had his own bar that was like a hot gambling spot. Charles Barkley, who gets blowjobs from prostitutes with Urkel in the car.
Yeah, that's the part of the car that reminds me. In the back, evidently, of Lightning McQueen, there's a large black man getting blown by prostitutes.
Pretty awesome, right? Not bad.
And then it's red like a boxing glove. I'll bet that's where it comes there.
He talks shit like Ali. He gets blowjobs like Barkley.
Got a giant nose.
And he lives on the edge like Joe Namath. There we go.
But he's also wearing tights.
Oh, he also wears fucking nylons. So you can come look at that. So that said, let's talk about some murder here.
Here we go.
Holy shit, is this a wild story. And Canadians from this area will probably remember this story because it's not one that you're going to forget anytime soon. Okay, let's start out on September 11th, 2017. Okay, now, a local fisherman, it's a guy fishing with his grandson, they spot something floating in the city harbor that they find questionable at best.
That it's not trash.
And it is a severely disfigured and decomposed human torso. Just a torso, no arms, no legs, no head, just a center mass.
September 11th.
So I don't think that means anything in Canada.
No.
I don't
But
think they give a
still
fuck
got to
about
remember, right?
Why?
Everybody has to remember.
I don't remember shit that ever happened up there, so probably not. Up there, though, it's like never forget when the Leafs won the cup. You know what I mean? It's a different forget. So that's a problem. It's not what they're fishing for anyway.
No.
Disfigured torsos. So they're taken to the forensic medical examiner for identification and examination, but they face difficulties in identifying the body due to the fact that it has no arms, legs, or head. There's no fingerprints. You can't tell what they look like.
Yeah.
So it's pretty.
Can you tell if it's a gal or a fella?
We can tell it's a woman. That's all we know. It's a smaller young lady. That's all we can tell. But it's other than that, there's
no tattoos.
There's nothing really identifiable, and unless they have the person's DNA on file, it won't help for that either. So that's not great. They can't do that. So they do have a fragment of a tattoo on the neck. That was visible, but it was impossible to determine what it was a tattoo of. It was just the bottom.
Oh, it's just a little piece.
Like they cut off at the bottom of the tattoo,
Wow.
so you just see little ink marks coming down, but you don't know what it's a part of. So they actually do police work and do some analysis of missing persons that are on file and look for it that way. And they actually match up DNA and figure out who this young lady is.
Okay.
Find out who this torso belongs to. This is good police work here. And it helps that it's 2017 when this is going on, obviously. In 1985, they would have been like, I don't know, put her in the freezer and fuck, I don't know, man. Hope
see if we can find the rest of that tattoo.
Hope her fingers wash up on shore because we could use that. Nothing else though. So it belonged to an 18-year-old young lady. Unfortunately, should have been a high school senior. A young lady named Rory with an I at the end. Hache is how you pronounce it, from what I've found. Hache. Hache.
Yeah.
She's 18 years old. She's born in 1999, and she was last seen in downtown Oshawa on August 27th, 2017. So it's not too far. It's only 2 weeks out. Little bit about her. She was basically she did in junior high school, middle school, she did basically Canadian ROTC. I don't know what they call it up there, but it's like a cadet thing. Same type of thing. And she won Cadet of the Year twice.
Wow.
In 7th and 8th grade.
Of the Royal Mounties.
I don't know what the fuck. It was a military uniform. It wasn't like a police thing. So I'm not sure. But then she hit high school. And not great for her. And like a lot of us, when we hit high school, the world's more open to you at that point.
Sure.
You older kids you start meeting and, it's that sort of thing. So a lot of times we try new things as we're freshmen in high school. Maybe it's new music, a new group of friends, try a little drink of some schnapps or some shit, something like that.
From time to time,
She tried meth, though.
Really?
In her freshman year. Yeah, that's not great.
Oh. Boy.
And it seems like from the first time she tried meth, her teenage years kind of went a little squirrely.
She liked it.
She liked it a lot. That's another thing. Now, her family is interesting also to begin with here.
How so?
Her grandfather was Bernie Guindon. He is one of the founders of the Satan's Choice Motorcycle Club. And if you watch that documentary that I was watching, they were talking a lot about Satan's Choice, and I believe they even talked about him on this documentary. Satan's Choice, who I'm 99% sure they were the ones who then kind of patched in as Hell's Angels later on, or were affiliated with Hell's Angels. Maybe not. No. Hell's Angels, and they were in competition in the 70s with the other motorcycle clubs in the country to be the biggest one and the baddest one and sell the most meth and do all that shit. So the Canadian bikers were a big deal because they had a huge meth operation up there and an easy way to get it into the country. So they became, whoever got kind of hooked up with these Canadians would have a lot more money and that sort of thing. So I'm pretty sure it was Satan's Choice that ended up being the affiliate of the Hell's Angels or a partner with them or whatever, however you want to put it.
Just by name alone, they certainly fall into the fold pretty easy. Hell and Satan go together.
Yeah, it feels like it. It feels like it should be.
Together.
So this guy, he served 22 years in prison overall, if you add up all of his stints for drugs and assaults. And, he's a fucking Canadian biker criminal, the grandfather.
One of the baddest.
He has somewhere between 11 and 16 kids. We're unsure exactly.
Sick.
One of his kids is Rory's uncle, who she's very close to. She's close to her uncle and her uncle's wife. So that'd be her aunt by marriage here. His name is Harley Davidson Guindon.
Of course.
Of course it is. Be a little creative.
I'll tell you that much.
Be a little creative. You know what I mean? Be a little creative with it. He's a Hell's Angels guy who has a tattoo. He has a huge tattoo on his back of his prison fights record. His record it says he said he's 41-0 in prison fights, and it's on his back.
I guess you got to do that with notches, right? Because you can't write 40. You can't.
He did. It says 41-0. I think he did it after he got out of prison, but he's going to have to. If he goes back, he's going to have to add something to it. Another panel. I'm not sure.
Yeah, in my first visit, and then second visit. Jesus.
So Rory, the reason I mentioned Harley Davidson Guindon here is that Rory lived with her uncle for a while when she was 17. Okay. Rory has some issues. Sometimes she runs away, stays away for a while, and comes back. She's a young kid with a drug problem from time to time, and then she'll try to get better. She goes to this youth center to try to kick her habit and stuff like that, and
has what she feels like is a rock bottom. Then she's like, no, that wasn't it. But she's trying though. She tries definitely.
She, like I said, her family was kind of troubled. She ran away a lot, would disappear for a month at a time. But everybody says about 6 months before she disappeared, she was doing better. She had a steady boyfriend. She had an apartment. She found a job. She was planning on going back to school. And her Aunt Michelle, who I believe is Harley Davidson's wife there, she said that she had taken Rory to the dollar store to buy a pregnancy test sometime around in the summertime and found out that she was pregnant.
Maybe we get one from a little more reliable.
The dollar store. Yeah, let's head to the CVS maybe. Let's spring here. Let's spring.
Let's pay the $17.99 for the good one.
Jesus. So they assume she was about 3 months pregnant when she disappeared. That's the assumption here. In August of 2017, about 2.5 weeks before she disappeared, there was a fire at her mother's house. A real bad fire that injured her mother and killed her mother's dog.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so they're not sure if she relapsed a little bit after that, because everybody says she was doing well at this point, but anybody who does meth sometimes, that shit in one day, you could be doing great for 5 years, and one day it could all go off the rails, and that's what happened. So,
and when you're a meth addict, well is certainly relative.
That's the other thing. Yeah, not doing meth as well. You're doing great.
Yeah, that's... she seems lucid today. That's great.
I don't see any open scabs that she's been picking at, so great. So
a meth head's well is relative toward it's like somebody with dementia. Are they talking to you? That's great.
They remembered their children. Good. That's excellent.
Wonderful.
Yeah, good. So
you're at the party.
You're not doing meth. Great. That's good. Yeah. So August 27th, the day she was last seen, A friend of hers and her friend's mom take her to the hospital for unknown reasons. There are rumors that it was about some kind of mental episode she was having. And I don't know if that's a drug episode or just a mental breakdown or what. But they're seen on security footage walking in together, the three of them, and you can see Rory sitting there fidgeting a lot. She's real fidgety, which makes me think maybe it's a drug thing that she's going there for some kind of something. Then the footage shows her friend and friend's mom leave the hospital and leave her in the waiting room. Like they're like
still there.
Yeah, I guess she told them I'll be fine, and they took off and left and go toward the parking garage and leave the hospital. And then you see Rory sits in the waiting room for about another 15 minutes fidgeting, and then she just leaves the hospital on her own too. Oh, boy. So I don't know where she went. I don't know how she got a ride because they were her ride. So I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but she left the hospital. She was never seen that night at the hospital. Now she had been showing up at a youth center called The Refuge, and then she stopped showing up. So some of the people at the Refuge called her family to say, "Hey, have you seen Rory? Because she hasn't shown up, and we're worried about her and whatever." And the family said, "Well, we haven't seen her either." But the fact that she would, for the last few years, disappear from time to time for a while, her family doesn't report her missing for almost a month.
Right.
Because this isn't abnormal.
This is what she does.
Exactly. And she's 18 also. She's not a child, so it's not, they said she often would do some prostitution things for drug money and things like that when she would disappear and end up out on the street. So that's September 11th, and then the next month on after that when all that happens. Yeah. So it's horrifying. And we haven't even got to the horrifying part. Now, it's December 29th, 2017. Okay, there's a two-family home. It's an upstairs-downstairs house that's rented. It's at 19 McMillan Drive in Oshawa. And the new people that moved in upstairs, they've been there a couple weeks, and they notice a really shitty, bad smell. Really bad. Real bad stuff here. So they asked their downstairs neighbor if he's having any problems because they feel like it's coming from the plumbing. Something in the plumbing. So maybe something's clogged, an animal get in there. Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. So their downstairs neighbor's name is Adam Strong, just like it sounds. He's 45 years old. He tells them, it's a minor plumbing issue that we've been having. The house that happens from time to time here. He said, I know how to fix it. He said, the next few days I'll take care of it. I'll fix it because that's annoying me too. So then a few days later, the neighbors, nothing happens. It doesn't stop. So then on December 29th is when the neighbors call a plumber because the sewer is backing up into their apartment. So it's time to get a plumber at that point.
Yeah.
Now, the plumber could not find an obstruction in their pipes, though, up there. So couldn't find anything. So I don't understand it. So they said, maybe it's downstairs. I'll go check the guy downstairs and check that out. So he went downstairs to Adam Strong's apartment and said, can I come in and check it out?
Can I snake this? Yeah.
And the guy said, yeah, come on in. His house, by the way, Adam, inside, it's a fucking mess. It's disgusting in there.
Oh, surprise.
Absolutely hideous in there. There's fucking food everywhere and wrappers, and it almost looks like Turd Boy's house. Like not to that level, but give him another couple years. Yeah. He'll be Turd Boy. So the plumber then said that Adam seemed nervous, but didn't not allow him to come in or whatever. So when they get in there and they are snaking these drains, what they find is a shitload of meat in the pipes.
Oh.
Flesh of some kind. Meat, bone fragments, things like that.
Oh.
They're finding. So the plumber here, he was horrified, and then he found what he thought was decomposed human fingers in there. Okay.
Whole fingers.
Pieces of human fingers decomposed.
Yeah.
So the plumbers put everything into a plastic shopping bag that they could find, just in like a grocery bag.
Well, we'll throw this right out.
They said they also found a fleshy-like substance, maybe 13 to 14 inches long as well.
What is that?
All of this. So the plumber calls 911 because he thinks it's something weird. And he says, quote, I'm a plumber and I'm on site for a job. And we're snaking a drain and we probably pulled back about 10, 15 pounds of it looks like flesh type of stuff. Meat.
10, 15
pounds. pounds.
That's so much.
So think about what a pound of meat looks like.
That's
ground
so
beef,
much.
15 pounds of that.
Yeah.
And the guy said, and we don't know what it is. And he said that, so they call the police. And the first officer said, I've never seen anything like it before, so I wasn't sure what it was either. So I just showed me a bag of meat. And I was like, ew, gross. I mean,
throw it away.
Nasty, yeah. Why do you still have that? Disgusting.
Cook it or freeze it or throw it out. Those are your choices.
That's it. So they're going to go talk to Adam Strong, the guy's whose apartment they pulled this out of, to find out what the deal is. Now, Adam was 45 years old. He's born in 1972. He's from Cornwall, Ontario. And at this point, he's single, no children, and he works as a gas station attendant.
I mean, he was killing it until that profession in his 40s. Yeah.
He also does some security for movie sets when that pops up too.
Oh, fun.
He's very much like wants to be like in that world, but nobody likes him. So he lived at this house for over 10 years. He moved in early 2007. No neighbor has ever complained about him or anything. He's never had any, he's not lighting off fireworks at 2 a.m. or any shit like that.
You can go along to get along.
Now, he definitely, on social media, he would complain a lot that it was really difficult for a sexual freak like him to meet women. For a powerhouse, you know what I mean?
It's always fascinating when guys like that. I can't believe I'm single. Look
I just fuck too good.
Shitbox on her.
I just fuck too good.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd eat the shit out of that ass. I don't get why chicks don't like me.
What's your deal, man? You just called her ass her shit box.
I hope her turd cutter tastes as good as it looks. Is not something that ladies generally like to hear. They're
not marrying you, man.
That's probably not. They might fuck you for a night. But they're not going to
enjoy that because she's a nightmare.
Yes. Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about the safest sponsor ever, Simply Safe. Absolutely. These people will keep you safe. It's amazing. You know that every 26 seconds a burglary takes place in the United States, according to the FBI. That means that by the time this podcast is over, dozens and dozens of homes will have been targeted, ransacked. God knows what happens here. So protect your home before it's too late with Simply Safe proactive security system. Simply Safe helps stop threats before they even have a chance to break in. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report 5 years in a row. And by us for about the last 8 years as well. If you trust us, believe me, you want Simply Safe. So visit simplysafe.com/small to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/small. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Now back to the show.
This show, Small Town Murder, is brought to you by BetterHelp. Get yourself some therapy, everybody. Honestly, here. We often hear about, red flags that you should avoid. Hey, that's a lot of a thing. It's become a real phrase now, real cliche. Yeah. But why don't you focus also, you look at like green flags in friends and partners. Look for good things as well. Right. And maybe you're not sure what that looks like, though. Therapy can help you figure that out. What are positive things? What are the green flags? And then you can practice them in your relationship. It's absolutely a fact. And so, honestly, we absolutely are huge advocates for this. It really, really helps. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable. It's convenient. They serve over 5 million people worldwide. You can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists, wide ranges of specialties there. Here's the coolest part. You're not getting along with your therapist, you're just not feeling it, you can switch at any time, no extra charge.
Wow.
The thing is, they want you to get help. That's it. And you can do it with BetterHelp. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/smalltownmurder today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
She wants to fuck a guy she doesn't even like because he'll eat her ass. So that's a...
And call it a turd cutter.
A turd cutter. He's like, yeah, my turd cutter. I've been working on my turd cutter, so I'm glad he likes it. So 4 police officers come in, knock on the door, and Adam Strong opens the door. Yeah. And the one cop says, what have you been flushing down the toilet? Because we got a bunch of, meat in a bag.
Yeah.
What's up with that? So that's just a basic question. What have you been? He could have said I had bad meat. I didn't want it to stink. I thought million things he could have said. He said instead he chose to say, quote, "Okay, you got me. The gig's up. It's a body."
What?
So they didn't know.
It took one question.
They didn't know if he was kidding though, because the way he said it, and if you watch this guy's interrogations, nothing he says matches the tone of voice he fucking says it in. It's wild. He is wildly upbeat for the weird shit that he says and does. So they didn't know if he was kidding or not. So then he followed it up with, quote, "If you want to recover the rest of her, it's in my freezer." That's what he said.
Oh.
So they're like, "For real? So you mind if we search?" And he's like, "Come on in. Go ahead." Okay.
I'll show you.
So the cops come in and they find the rest of Rory Hachet's body in a freezer in his bedroom. It's one of the
bedroom.
Yeah, like chest freezer, one of those.
Really?
He keeps it in his fucking bedroom. Inside the freezer, they found there's blood spattered all over it, number one. Various severed body parts, including her head.
Yeah.
Found the head.
That doesn't flush.
Nope. And on the neck is the other part of that tattoo that they were wondering about, and it says "alive" on it, unfortunately.
Oh, my God.
Never have there been more irony than that. So
that is wild.
That's fucking ridiculous. So
what a choice to,
They don't know what he did, but they know he's got a chopped up teenager in his fucking freezer. Literally, he's got body part, chopped up teenager parts in his chest freezer. So that's a stereotype. We're going to go ahead and arrest this guy.
Yeah.
They were amazed that he just told them, "Yeah, the rest of her's in the freezer. Go check it out. What are we talking about here?" So it was the bag was packed in the head was packed in a plastic bag, and then there was limb fragments and other bags around there. They said the house was a dump. It was filthy dishes and rotting food everywhere, trash all over the place. Among everything, they do find many, many adult magazines, of course.
Sure.
Masochistic shit he's into, obviously.
Really?
Oh, yeah. As well as tons of sex toys. I don't think it's 107 dildos like the one, but lots of sex toys. And I saw some of them. He's real into the anal beads type of thing. Those long beaded things. Yeah, he likes that.
Yeah.
Gags.
Does he like them or is he putting them in? We don't know.
We're not sure what where he puts them.
He just has them.
He's also into gags and whips and all sorts of binding devices, and one in particular that's a binding device that hangs a person over the bed, dangles them. So it's like a harness system.
Not a swing? It's
not
like
a swing. No. Like a BDSM hardcore thing, where you're...
Okay.
Yeah. So while the cops are finding all this, he's just talking to him real casual. Just real casual.
That's my bondage hanger.
Yeah, well, that's the head of this chick I know, everything. He told the cops, I thought about killing myself, but then I was like, what am I going to do with that? Stupid. So he just tries to make friends with the cops. He's outside talking about serial killers that hey, what about that guy? He was crazy, right? Shit like that. He talks about his hobbies. You guys fish ever? You ever go bowling? Past girlfriends? He's literally talking about this one girl. What a pain in the ass she was. They found a head in your freezer. Just shut the fuck up and sit there.
And the rest of her they found while somebody was fishing. I don't want to talk about fishing with you.
Yeah. He also says he doesn't associate with drug addicts, he's saying. He's trying to... Okay. He's really telling them just all who he is, giving a first date rundown to these guys who don't give a fuck. They also find an explosive device in his house, a bomb of some kind, so they have to get the explosive disposal unit to come in and detonate the homemade bomb that he made. I don't know if that was in case they came. In case they came, he was going to go out in a blaze of glory, but just didn't expect it to be about plumbing. So in the back of the police car, he told the arresting officer that he knew they were pulling up Rory's body parts and that he would, quote, be caught. He knew it. He goes, I knew you guys would catch me there. They also find from his phone data that his phone was at the harbor a week before the body was found, September 4th. Okay. His phone he was at the harbor September 4th. And the amount of decomposition and everything looks like it would be in the water for about a week. Yeah. So they sit him down for his first interrogation. They show him a photo of Rory, and Adam says, oh, she's a beautiful young woman.
Golly.
The balls on this guy. He was like, oh, look at that. Pretty girl. You guys going to set me up with her, or what are we doing here?
Oh, shit.
Oh, boy. So they said, look, we know you know her. And he goes, yeah, I know her. He admits it. I know her. He said, I met her down by the creek in Oshawa. She was a homeless girl, which a lot of times that's what she would do. She would hang out in these kind of groups of kind of homeless teenagers and do drugs and turn tricks, I guess, is what allegedly she did. He said he bought her dinner and brought her home with him. Really? Okay, yeah. He said that he knew her and knew that she was involved in the sex trade. And yeah, that might have had something to do with it. But he insisted that if there's a security camera outside my house, which there isn't, but if there was, you'd see video of her coming into his home and you would see video of her leaving his home. And he said, that's the honest to God truth.
What?
Honest to God truth.
What are you saying?
Her head's in your freezer. What
she
the fuck
left,
are you talking about? Her head's in your freezer. Literally. Her whole fucking head. Not a piece of it, not an eyeball, not a finger.
All of it.
Whole head. So
tattoo and everything.
They're like, what's your deal, man? Why do you have body parts? And he said, I had a bad childhood. Which, join the club, asshole. My freezers are clean, babe. Clean. Yeah. I got nothing but fucking animal meat in there. So,
have you heard about her grandfather, man?
Yeah, no shit. He said, they are my actions, but I don't think I would have made those actions had I been nurtured. He wasn't hugged enough was his problem. So he has to have heads in his freezer.
I need forehead kisses or else I chop people up.
Or else I have teenagers' body parts in my chest freezer. You know how that goes. He said, I don't know. It was a really bad childhood. Then they said, well, you just really went past. You said, yeah, she was in the sex trade. She's a pretty girl. Then you went on to your childhood. They said, do you have any empathy for this dead young woman in the photo? And he said, quote, I don't know. I'm kind of over it.
Oh, my God.
All right. Then he said, how much of her body did you guys get back? He said, obviously the entire skeletal structure, right? Because he has no way of disposing of bones. And the cop said, yeah, whatever was in the house. Which is, whatever you had, he pretty much said. Did you guys grab a Coke or a Pepsi out of the fridge? Whatever you had. That's what he said, basically. Is that a Sprite or a Pepsi?
We got your whole inventory, man.
Whatever you had in stock is what it was, really. He said, then Strong says, in the freezer, and how much of it were you able to pull out of the pipes? And the cop said, quite a bit. It was bad luck, I guess, for you. Yeah. Right. And then he jumps in with now we're connecting. Adam's like, he says, yeah, that's what I've been telling people. Meaning the other cops that he's been talking to, that it was just bad luck. He said,
you're right.
Yeah, he's like, they're like, you're stupid. And I'm like, you kidding me? That's an awesome way to get rid of a body. Obviously not, if it didn't fucking work. An awesome way to get rid of a body. Meanwhile, you're in a police interrogation room because they found a body in your plumbing talking about how great of a way it is to get rid of a body.
They're going to flush you down the prison toilet, man.
It's fucking crazy.
You're in so much trouble.
You're in a lot of trouble. And you
don't know what you did.
He's like, that's an awesome way. It's totally great. Right?
Oh, my God.
So he's drawn into a discussion about his attempt to dispose of the remains. They're like, but why? You threw one in the harbor. Why'd you choose to leave this stuff here? And he said, well, I wouldn't carry the whole body down to the lake. That's crazy. That would be crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
That looks weird.
Torso, on the other hand, that's normal. He
wear that like a backpack.
He described trying to stuff some of the human flesh down the toilet, although it kept overflowing. So
weird.
Remember, I think it was Raymond Mata in Oklahoma talking about that. He was flushing a child down the toilet. This is
right.
Bad idea.
How do these people not realize that little S in the porcelain, that's what you've got to get things through.
You got to get it through that.
It's so small.
Yeah, if you want to flush flesh down the toilet, you better form it into turds, basically, and send it down there. You can't just send a pile of it down there.
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
Crazy.
He said, quote, all this water came up. I heard kerplunk. I'm picking it up with my hands as fast as I can, meaning the meat fell out.
Yeah.
Ugh. He said dumping it into a pail that he took outside. And he said, however much you found in the bucket is what came up. Because there was a bucket outside that they know to look for. And he said this this is fucking amazing. Quote, fooled by inadequate plumbing, and that's a fucking shame. Inadequate. It's the plumbing's fault. It's not made to take human bodies down it, is it?
Idiot.
Everybody look at your fucking toilet's user manual. Does it say, when flushing a corpse, do this? No, it doesn't at all. So Wow.
He can be as sick as he wants, but you're still in so much trouble, man.
So much fucking trouble.
Fuck justice. Her family's dangerous.
That's the other thing. Her uncle's name is Harley Davidson, and he has his prison fight record tattooed on his back. Are you joking?
I'm scared for you, man.
You're in a lot of trouble. So they do some more searching, and they find out that Rory's blood was all over Adam's bedroom walls, ceiling. His semen was found on her body.
Oh, God.
They also collected a large hunting knife specifically designed for gutting and skinning animals, and we'll talk about that, the knife. It's a Wyoming knife, they call it.
Yeah.
It's got like two little handles for your fingers, and it opens up. And it was discovered that during this search, they found in a drawer, they found this knife. On this knife, they find traces of blood.
Yeah.
They do some DNA on this. It's not Rory's blood. It belongs to another young lady.
Oh, my God.
A young lady named Candace Fitzpatrick, who disappeared in 2008.
I've never been more afraid for a serial killer.
This is fucking insane. They also find her DNA in blood in his freezer as well.
Oh, Jesus.
So this is Candace, Kandis Fitzpatrick. She was 19 when she disappeared in 2008. He's got a type. He's got a type. She vanished during the Christmas season in 2008. She was a street kid who would hang around downtown Oshawa among groups of homeless kids who did drugs and kind of kept tabs on each other. That's how it works. So same exact thing. Yep. She disappeared 10 years earlier, and she's also struggled with substance abuse, run-ins with law, ran away a lot from time to time. Her family didn't report her disappearance for almost 2 years after she was missing.
That's how unreliable she was.
Because she would just disappear all the time, so they thought she was just doing her own thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the police looked through the missing persons record that they connected the dots between Strong and Fitzpatrick. That's how it works. They also find a hammer with Rory's DNA all over it.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes.
Is that how he dismembered her?
It's blunt. They're thinking, no. They're thinking he killed her. He killed her with blunt force. She had skull fractures.
Oh, my God.
They think she was probably strangled and beaten over the head with a hammer. That's how they think she went. They said he either killed her during a sexual assault or when she was forcibly confined, because they think she was in the bindings. The forensic pathologist said she had skull fractures, an array of injuries to her face and head, but no explicit cause of death could be established. That's why they think maybe he was beating her and also strangled her. That's the possibility. But the DNA was found on blood spatter all throughout the apartment, in the kitchen, the bedroom, the ceiling, the stairwell. They called it bloodletting events, like lots of blood were found in certain spots.
Yeah.
So they bring him back in to have a second interrogation.
Sir, you have so much explaining to do.
Oh, my goodness. They sit him down. This is an 11-hour-long interrogation. Obviously, we're going to give you some highlights.
It's about as much time as needed.
Because we got about 20 minutes left of this, so yeah. They asked him, so how you been doing? And he is so upbeat, it's amazing. He's just real upbeat, this guy, about everything. He said, I've been amazed at how well I've been treated.
Oh, is that right?
He said, other than a few staff members, it's been great. So he's talking to this guy, Detective Mitten. He's just hanging out with him. Yeah. They're sipping some drinks. They got food for him and everything like that. And he specifically requested Wendy's because he really likes Wendy's.
Good call.
And he said, I haven't had a good meal for months. They even let him smoke a cigarette.
It's not a good meal.
No, but compared to prison, it's meat is what you're getting.
Yeah.
So he also is allowed to smoke in the interrogation room.
Okay.
Because this is a big deal. He says, I imagine I've received a lot of hate mail, but he said, but they're intercepting it. So I don't know. I don't see it.
Oh, I'm not getting it.
I'm not getting it. He says he's actually safer here in jail than he would be on the outside because he tells the cops that the Hells Angels are going to be looking to kill me. He goes, by the way, because I know I found out this girl's family's deep into it, so I'm probably better off in here than I am anywhere else.
Dude.
So they say, you told us you were a little light on info in this first interrogation. You didn't tell us everything. And he says, I was trying to protect my ass.
Oh.
He said, okay. He again talks about his bad childhood and all that. And at one point, he says, people have been calling me a monster. He says, am I a monster? Which is funny. And he says, I'm not, right? He said, yes, I do get off on tying up and choking sexual partners. That's true. He says, but he said, I don't need that stimulation to get off. He goes, I can come without that. So it's not like, it's not like somebody needs to set a fire and come while it's burning or something like a lot of guys do. He said, I don't need that. It's just I like that. There's a difference here.
Just makes the load bigger.
It just makes it feel like it's coming from my heels at that point. Right.
Sometimes it seems like it doesn't stop.
It just keeps going. He said, I didn't accidentally or intentionally kill anyone by choking them before, after, or during sex, is what he says, adamantly. Okay. So, what about all the other times after you've had sex or, he says after or during, but I don't know. And he says, to prove that he's not a weirdo and a sick guy, he says, quote, I worked at a daycare. Which
oh my God,
only terrifies me. That does not make me feel better. That makes me feel much, much worse that this man worked at a daycare. Yeah. But that was to show that he's a gentle man. He said, he said he's very relieved that Rory's mother hadn't endured the horror of seeing her daughter's remains. He said, that's good. He said, I really think it's important that she not see what's left of her daughter. It was really traumatic. I was really worried about the mother. This guy is...
What the fuck is going on?
He has brass fucking balls, this guy. Brass balls.
He's one of the sickest people I've ever heard of in my entire life.
I'm telling you, if you see his demeanor, it's like he's in there because, a neighbor did something. He's like, wow, an interrogation room, wild. Like, that's his attitude. Like, I'm willing to help.
I would like you all in Canada to know that this didn't reach our shores. I didn't know anything about this.
Me neither.
You all may have been affected deeply by this. We didn't know.
No, the lake kept this out of our whole thing. Got lost in the lake. You're sick fucks. Yeah. It's all West Virginia, I'm feeling like up there.
Yeah.
He then said that he wanted to send Rory's parents a letter of condolence and solace. He said, I'd like to pass on to her mother and father my condolences. Her head was in your freezer. They don't want to hear from you.
No.
He later told investigators who questioned him that he was surprised when her torso was discovered in the lake because he had taken precautions to keep that from happening. So he's like, I don't know how the fuck that. I weighed it down. This is crazy. He wants to talk about Rory a lot, which they already have all they need on Rory. They want him to talk about Candace, which he is not willing to talk about very much.
Really?
No. So he wants to talk about Rory, though. He says, I started dismembering her like about Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Because the people upstairs went away for Christmas. They did something. So the cop says, are you doing this when it's frozen or like partially defrosted or how's it work? And Adam says, completely defrosted. He defrosted it. He defrosted her. Then they ask a little more about Rory, and he says, and I quote, holy shit, this is insane. She did take up a lot of space in my freezer, yes. Which is really the downside of murdering people in your house, is then you gotta take all of your all your Red Baron pizzas and tombstones out of your freezer,
I really should have measured the cubic feet versus people.
That's what it's. I couldn't even fit my pizza rolls in there. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
My Totinos had to stay on the outside.
Forget the green beans.
He said, quote, I'm a real bad procrastinator.
Oh, Jesus.
Procrastinator isn't the word I would use after I'm a real bad. He said, and that is really a detriment to myself. Definitely has fucked me over, he says.
If only I could just get a schedule and stick to it.
Weird. He says, I'm sorry to sound matter-of-fact and cold, but that's exactly what it was. There was like a month where there was nobody upstairs. It was vacant, and I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll start tomorrow. He's lazy. He's too lazy to dispose of a body. He's got a real can you start my orange approach to life, and it just doesn't work in this scenario.
It's unbelievable.
He said it's not exactly something that one would look forward to. So, yeah, he was putting it off.
Sure.
It's a huge pain in the ass. So the cop said, what were you going to do with the bones? And he says, I would have pitched it out in the lake. So he had a plan. 5 hours into the interrogation, 5 hours, the detective turns the conversation toward Candace at this point.
Sure.
And he says, we look at the two girls that we're aware of that you've been charged with. Because he's charged at this point until they found the knife with the DNA, then he's charged with murder. But before that, he was just charged with counts of, body stuff, doing shit to bodies. Okay. Yeah. And he said, that's what you've been charged with. And Adam responds with, Candace Fitzpatrick. Is that right? Yikes. The cop said, yeah, how did you meet Candace? Didn't say, did you know her? He said, how did you meet her? And he said, you know what? It's so long ago, I have no idea. I don't know. 10 years ago. I would remember how I met every woman I murdered. I don't know. That's me.
I can't imagine forgetting any of it. Yeah.
That's me anyway. I mean, Ted Bundy remembered crazy details, and he killed
BTK remembered people. Everything.
Well, yeah, he documented it all, too. But, people that killed, Dahmer was drunk, and he remembered everything about everybody, Yeah. So you usually remember that kind of shit. And the cop said, when you first met her, and had she been to your place before and all those things, which is a really terrible phrasing of a question. That's his exact words. And had she been to your place before and all those things?
Sounds like he may have like a little tick that he says that a lot.
The cop? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Plus, he's, when he says something, you have to recalibrate your approach, so you have to figure it out on the fly. Adam says, well, you have video from the roller rink. So he's saying he was with this girl at a roller rink. Mm-hmm. And the cop says, to my knowledge, there's no video from the roller rink. Like, I haven't seen that. Yeah. And then Adam says again, he said, anytime these girls came over, they always left on their own power. He said, you'll never find a video of her coming without leaving. Every time she came to my house, she left my house under her own powers. And the cops...
Except for that one time.
Well, the cop said, Candace or Rory? And he said, both. You just said...
She's in your freezer. She didn't pack herself neatly in the freezer and flush the rest of her down the toilet.
And you admitted also, all this shit, you admitted that you would have thrown her bones away and you were procrastinating. Right. So obviously that she didn't leave. And the cop said, there's been charges laid on you. Do you know why? Like, are you mentally damaged?
Are you sane?
Do you have brain damage? Right. And he said, Strong says, I'm pretty sure that I have an idea of the objects that had her DNA on it. How's that sound?
Yikes.
Like he's
Plural? Oh, boy.
So the cop said that would lead the investigators to believe she's met the same demise as Rory. Uh-huh. And Adam said, that's the procrastination issue right there that fucked me again. Okay. He said, totally. All I had to do was boil the knife. That's all I had to do. He said, because DNA doesn't work after it's been cooked. He said, why didn't I do it? It's just lazy. He's just lazy. That's all it is. He'd be a successful murderer if he just wasn't so fucking lazy.
There's no way an investigator has ever encountered anything like this before.
No.
How do you not hear this and then stare him in the face with your mouth wide open?
That's
how do you not
saying.
Go, what?
Like, how do you not, like, because they're always leaning forward into him. How do you not lean back in your chair and just be like, wow, I need a minute. Do you have a Xanax or something? Because this is a lot for me to take in right now.
What did you just say?
All I had to do was boil the knife. Meanwhile, he's saying, I didn't kill her, and if you see video, she'll always be leaving my house. But I didn't
boiled the knife that killed her.
Because DNA doesn't work after it's been cooked. He specifically says that. Cooked. Not boiled, cooked. So the cop said, was there times you would come across that and go, well, I really should, take care of it? And he said, I saw it. Yeah. He said it was sitting in the center of my drawer, because that's where the cleaners had left it. And I was like, oh, shit, forgot all about that.
He had cleaners in that place?
I don't know. That must have been years ago because it's filthy.
Yeah. Oh, right.
But he was just like, yeah, he goes, that's where I left it. And I was like, oh, shit, forgot all about that. How do you forget? Oh, yeah, clean the murder weapon. Get the DNA off of it. For 10 years, he didn't find the time to do that. The cop said, how did you come across a huge span of time not coming across that? Or did you come across a huge span of time where you didn't come across the knife? And he said, yeah, absolutely. And the cop said, like years? And that's when Strong says, yeah, I think we're both talking about the same thing. I have no doubt about it. He won't admit it because he's saying he doesn't want to admit to this Candace Fitzpatrick murder. He's still saying, I don't know anything about that. But he's telling the cop, yeah, we're on the same page. I'm just not going to go right where you want him to go.
Just say it, you son of a bitch.
So the cop very smartly says, what do you call that?
Yeah.
Because he wants him to say the word knife.
Yeah, say murder.
He didn't say that. He said object.
Okay.
He's never said knife, Adam Strong, that's they're talking about. So then Adam says, oh, that's a deer skinning and field dressing tool. That's what he says.
Tool. So
the cop says, yeah, that's what I'd call it. I call it a gutting knife.
Mm-hmm.
And Strong said, yeah.
yeah, that's what it is.
Then he said, so lucky you, or lucky them, whatever. He said, I'm not a liar. Okay.
He said, you can call me a lot of things.
He said, I'm not a liar. Generally, I'm not. But I often said, this is the fucking craziest thing I've ever heard anyone say to a cop. I've often said, things I'd lie about. "No, officer, I didn't kill that woman," or "No, officer, I didn't rape that girl." Those are things that are reasonable to lie about.
Whoa.
Who the fuck would that cross their mind unless they've killed or raped people? You wouldn't...
Yeah, it's not a lie unless you've done it.
Unless you actually did it.
Right.
He said, those are things it's reasonable to lie about. And the cop said, well, I'd beg to differ, but I've never been in a position where I've done those things. And I'm like, and Adam said, I'm sure you would feel differently if you were, and he points to himself.
Yeah.
And the cop goes, oh, I'm sure I would. Like, if you were in my position, you probably would feel different. Then they said, well, Fitzgerald's, we need to find the rest of Candace. We have her blood. We know Candace was in there. We need to find the rest of her. We need to recover her for her family.
Help? Yeah.
And he says, I'm not going to expound on that, he says. I get that you got me on the indignity to a dead body. I really do. I wonder if you're throwing something at me to see if it'll stick. Like, yeah. So
interesting guy.
He holds back some cards to play, too, because he'll say later on that he goes, I might have some information that I maybe will share, possibly about the whereabouts of Fitzpatrick's remains, but that's a card I'm going to keep for later, maybe when it's deal time. Time to try to make a deal with the prosecutors.
So he's willing to take whatever charge it is on indignity to a corpse.
That's what he's willing to take. And he said, that means maybe I know I'm going to prison, but maybe if I can give you some info here and there, maybe I can get some comforts like, use of the internet and a TV or something like that, He says, because he needs something to trade with down the line. He says, quote, I feel like spilling the beans, being as comfortable as I can in jail, like internet access, maybe not a TV, but I could be comfy inside. I read a lot.
Okay.
And then he said, I don't expect a get out of jail free card. I just want to be comfortable. If I let those cards out now here, then I won't have any to play later. Okay. So he's saying later on, maybe I can get internet access by telling you where the bodies are. Basically.
Yeah, I'm going to be one of those scumbags.
Wow. So investigators now review cases dating back to 1996, even for him, because they're like, who the fuck knows with this guy? Basically, since he's been an adult, let's look at that.
Yeah.
They did extensive forensic work at the house with the police force announcing plans to dig up the backyard in search of more evidence. Shit. Even though there's renters living in the upper floors, how'd you like to be those poor people? You just move in. God. Then there's meat in your plumbing, and then for the next however long, it's a police circus in front of your fucking house.
Yeah, it's the Dahmer life, the Dahmer neighbor life.
Exactly what it is. I guess he had police are looking for anyone who can help them document Adam's movements from the mid-'90s up until his arrest in December of 2017. We want to know everything about this guy. In particular, they're looking also for anyone who may have helped Strong tow his 18-foot boat to any part of the water in that area.
He's got an 18-foot boat.
Yeah, so they're like, someone might have helped him. So they seized his boat as potential evidence. He was initially charged with committing an indignity to a body, which was Rory's remains. Now they're going to lay 2 murder charges on him a year later. Once he sits in jail for a year, and then they lay 2 murder charges on him. And the parents feel better about murder charges being for their daughter's killer. Rory's mom said she believed her daughter had been hunted, which I think he left the house.
Sure, yeah.
I think he left the house. He's like a trolling net, basically. I think he leaves the house. He's got the net out. If anything falls into it, great. If anything doesn't, whatever. But if he finds some teenage girl that he can fucking run some game on, I think that's what he's going to do.
Or one that's probably not going to be missed so much as
a runaway.
One that's one that's not kept track of every day.
The thing to do though, if you want to kill runaways, make them a little older. That's what you do. You know, people don't look for a 30-year-old who's been gone for a couple of years. An 18-year-old girl will always be looked for. Yeah. It's always the way it is. So this guy is as dumb as he is sick. So they said that Rory's mom said also that she had suspicion that whoever killed Rory definitely knew what they were doing. This wasn't their first time doing it. She said, nothing's been proven, but in my heart, I feel my daughter was hunted. I felt that since day one. Hey, everybody. Just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about Sono Bello. You know, the most known secret with celebrities and influencers and all these famous people is so many of them have had lipo. They've had lipo, whether it's a little touch-up here or a total makeover. Yeah. Nobody has a perfect body. That's the thing. No. They may look like it on TV, but there's things that help that. Absolutely. Lipo now has changed, and Sono Bello's been at the forefront with using LAL technology and getting those beautiful and natural outcomes for each person. Looking real natural. Our friends at Sonobello are offering their best deal. You're now included in their winter savings event, but appointments are limited, so please get on this. Sonobello doctors are masters in micro laser fat removal, a brilliant technique that removes stubborn fat permanently wherever your problem areas are. Tummy, love handles, thighs, arms, it's gone in one comfortable visit. Eating healthy and workouts are great. Keep doing that, but if you want to lose that stubborn fat in one visit, check out Sonobello. Save big during their winter savings event. Schedule your free consultation now at sonobello.com/smalltownmurder. That's sonobello.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit more about our stylish friends at Quince. That's right, let's go elevate your styles, people. Yeah. Get it going, look good out there, and you can do it now without breaking your wallet, without breaking the bank, because at Quince, you can get high-end, versatile pieces at prices we can all actually afford, which is very nice. You want to get good stuff that lasts and it's good, and they have quality stuff that's very affordable, and you can do like we did, upgrading our stuff here, while still being a very reasonable price. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. It's all quality stuff. You're going to love it. Trust us, it looks good. And I've got the leather jacket. It's a very high-quality item. Real nice, soft leather. Yeah. Jimmie's got his linen pants he's rocking.
Yeah, they're terrific.
Come on, be like us. Be fashionable. Get in there with Quince. Indulge in affordable luxury. Go to quince.com/smalltownmurder for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/smalltownmurder to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about a very cool place, Thrive Market. Yes, we are both looking to get into the healthy swing this year. The problem is I don't know what's in everything, and I don't know if even I'm qualified to even read the labels to know if that's good or that's bad. Right. There's chemicals in things, and there's things floating around. I don't know what I'm doing out there. One of my favorite features, and I know you were talking to me about this, is the Healthy Swap Scanner in the Thrive Market app. Yeah, it's simple. You scan any item, and it'll instantly suggest a cleaner, healthier grocery alternative, it's great. Amazing. Yeah. That's great. Thrive Market also takes the guesswork out of finding these safe, healthy foods. For example, like I'm trying to get my protein intake up for energy. I'm always moving around. I need stuff. And I love that you can filter their site by the high protein options. Nice. It's very cool. And you can personalize this portion and you can put filters on it. And get ready. You should be ready for a junk-free start to 2025. Get ready for it and head to thrivemarket.com/smalltownmurder and get 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/smalltownmurder, thrivemarket.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
She said, my daughter was tough. She would have not been an easy catch for anybody to handle. No, she was used to being on the streets. She was
Harley Davidson raised her.
Never mind that. It doesn't fucking matter at all because half of those guys are not the Hells Angels guys, but most bikers are posers anyway. They're just fucking middle-aged guys who want to look cool. But
the guy that's named Harley Davidson by a Satan's choice.
That's a different story here. But
she may have learned some things.
I think it's more about on the street doing meth, probably.
Yeah, you know, and there's that.
you tend to get little street smarts, I would imagine, in that sort of thing. Especially if you've ever had any prostitution, you better get up to speed real fast. There, you're in deep shit. Yeah. So they said that the prosecution here is saying that Rory was not misplaced in life; she was loved. Her mom said, "My daughter was innocent blood. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that this man never comes out of prison." She said her daughter loved music and dancing and was cadet of the year and all this, and it's bullshit that, and she's pregnant, for Christ's sake. She said she would have been a great mom, and she was happy about the child. So the family wants the House of Horrors, as they call it, torn down. They do a big demonstration outside the home. More than 30 people are marching around calling for the city council to purchase the property and destroy it.
Okay.
It's been owned by somebody since 1987, And
maybe they're willing to sell that.
Maybe. The family said, we're haunted by this every day. We have no answers. It hurts us a lot. Her aunt said, my goddaughter died there. She was chopped up there, flayed like a fish and dispersed in the most horrendous way, and nobody's talking about that.
Shh, I have a vacancy.
Fuck, jeez, yeah.
Stop saying that.
Stop it, I got to fill this soon. So the police, they said, we can't just forget what happened. You don't sweep it under the rug. And they said the family doesn't have closure, and they want the city to help achieve that. The landlord says the upstairs, because the people left upstairs after a while.
Sure.
They said that could be rented anytime now, but the downstairs apartment is boarded up still.
And fumigated too. Fuck.
The mayor said if this had been seized by the government or by the proceeds of a crime, if the building had been structurally deficient, that's a different story. In this case, we don't have a tool to go buy the property other than going to the homeowner and buying it directly. He's like, there's no government. We can't force a guy to sell us a fucking house. He said, but then we would have to demolish all properties where sad things happen. That's the problem.
Good point.
Yeah. At what point do you stop with that? Every house is going to end up, something bad's going to happen, and eventually you got to move on. Not the family, but the house.
Yeah. And when they're famous ones like that, the next person that owns it
generally
levels it and redoes it anyway.
Or completely redesigns it or something. Yeah. They also think Rory was sexually assaulted here. They're saying, obviously. They found evidence found that she'd been strapped into a restraining device, which is a pulley over Strong's bed.
Golly.
Which is terrifying. Now here, quick little side note, some of the things he's being called in the media, which are fucking hilarious. People pull no punches. He's a fat, sloppy, ugly fuck, this guy. Okay.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Big fat, so he looks like comic book guy from The Simpsons.
Really?
Well, yeah, he's just a fat tub of shit. And but he's a tub of shit and he's fat. Fat has nothing to do with it. So the Toronto Sun called him, quote, the beefy BDSM enthusiast. That's one that I found fun. Then here's another one. Adam Strong, charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, is a fat mess of lard. This is from the Toronto Sun or the Ottawa, whatever the fuck. A fat mess of lard, stringy hair knotted in a rat tail at the nape of his neck, dressed in a white sweatshirt and jeans. Then another one, like the next day, says, the 48-year-old slab of flab with the stringy hair and perennial 5 o'clock shadow.
Slab of flab.
Fat mess of lard, slab of fab, and beefy BDSM enthusiast. So 2019 is pretrial stuff. He refuses to come out of his cell for a court appearance. And this pisses everybody off.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to do it. He has, on more than one occasion, been very flippant during his court appearances. He pisses the family members of the victims off constantly, and he's a dick. He refused to appear for a video appearance that had been scheduled for some time. The lawyers discussed how to proceed, and the judge suggested she order Strong, who has made all but one of his numerous court appearances by video, to appear in person for his next appearance. The defense lawyer said that his appearances have been by video for a number of reasons, perhaps security reasons. And he led the defense lawyer, and he said he and lead defense lawyer would encourage Strong to cooperate in the future. They said that will be the message Mr. Balka and I will be passing along to Mr. Strong, the importance of appearing. Meanwhile, Candace Fitzpatrick's father, Bill, is there, and he demanded to speak to the prosecutor, but the judge cut him off because he's not. You're not involved in this. You're in the gallery.
And this doesn't even concern your daughter, let alone you.
And it's sad, but I mean, as someone who's had a family member murdered, once the person is caught and all that, you really don't have. It's not about you anymore. It's not. And it's between them and the justice system at that point.
Is his daughter's murder being charged here?
Yes, it's 2 murders. Okay. No, both murders. So he yelled back at the judge, "Shut up," which. I don't give a fuck if your daughter's been murdered or not. You're lucky you didn't leave in cuffs, because that is a very contemptive. Like the judge would say, I get that your daughter died. Yeah. You do that again, I'm going to have you dragged out of here and fucking thrown in a cell. Don't do that shit again. And while pointing his finger at the judge, too.
Oh, my God.
He said that officials should order him to appear in person. And the judge said, I hear you, sir. Yeah. And then Fitzpatrick, as he leaves the room, the dad says, bring him in person, you fucking idiots. Okay, you're not helping at all. It's not. I get the emotion.
Worse,
I totally get the emotion, but that's not helping anything. Then the family member also. This is Rory's mom, Dion, or Shannon. Her name is Shannon Dion. She said, "We've had 37 court appearances. I understand the gentleman's under a great deal of stress," is what the judge said. And then the mother said, "That gentleman waited," or that meaning the father. Yeah. She said that gentleman waited 10 years to find his daughter. So it's understandable. Emotions are running high, as anybody would be. Other times he's been a real douche, though. As the brief ended, Strong said, I guess his lawyer told Strong he'd call him later to discuss the case, and Strong said he didn't feel up to it. He said, "I was up all night. I'm tired. I want to go to bed."
Want a nappy.
In a previous appearance, he hadn't been yet charged with murder. They were talking about the future court dates, sure. And he said, "My schedule's open."
I'm open-ended, shit.
The judge says, "That comment's not funny."
No.
Which it kind of is, honestly. As much as I hate the guy, you know what I mean? Comedy's comedy, and that's kind of funny.
Yeah. Did he have a book and he thumbed through it and goes, "I'm open, guys."
My schedule's wide open. So the judge, Strong says, "I don't know. I was here. Everybody's laughing." I thought it was funny. I want to fucking choke this guy. He's such a twat. September 2020 is the trial. He's charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. The prosecution here, they say both girls were vulnerable, were essentially homeless with no fixed address. Both girls suffered from drug issues and sometimes worked in the sex trade to help fund their drug habit. They said they will also call 5 women to the stand who are also victims of sexual violence by Adam Strong.
From him.
They'll testify about the pulley contraption used to bind and restrain them as well. This is his thing that he does.
Oh, boy.
The defense said, "Yeah, you proved that the dismembered woman was found in his house," but he said, "You didn't prove that he killed anybody." Oh, boy. He just collects people and dismembers them, obviously. Yeah. He's like a taxidermist, that's all. The defense, by the way, does not call any witnesses, and he doesn't testify. It's a 3-month-long trial, and there's no jury. This is just for a judge. So it's 3 months of a mountain of evidence against him, and then they go, "No, we're good. We don't have anything to present."
Didn't prove anything.
Nope. So the verdict, the judge says that at issue was whether the Crown could prove beyond a reasonable doubt about the extinguishing of 2 lives a decade apart. He said even though in an earlier ruling the judge granted the Crown a similar fact admission, which meant the evidence relating to Rory could be applied to Candace Fitzgerald, he says, considering the evidence as a whole, I conclude that it's possible that Miss Fitzpatrick's death occurred during the commission of a sexual assault. However, I'm not sure that that is the case. In terms of unlawful confinement, I conclude that there's no evidence that Miss Fitzpatrick was unlawfully confined at the time of her murder. The judge said murder there. Later on, though, he comes back out and he says, I don't know about murder. He does say dismembered, dissected, disemboweled, defleshed both their bodies. He said sank one victim's torso in the harbor, except it was fished out by an angler, stuffed body parts, including Hachet's head, into an old freezer, tried much later flushing the other remains, flesh and or organs down the toilet, but it flooded and clogged, blocking everything. He said, while never specifically confirming he killed Rory, it would be absurd that he'd come across a dead body and taken it to his apartment to dismember it and dispose of it. That's right. You only dispose of people you kill. Let's make that rule here. Yeah. He said, I'm satisfied that it was Mr. Strong who caused Miss Hachet's death on the evening of September 1st or shortly after. Satisfied, they said that she died from repeated blunt force trauma to the head, and says, I reject the suggestion that Ms. Hachet possibly died of an overdose, because that's what the defense was trying to say, because she had drugs in her system. Sure. So they said, as a matter of law, a person cannot consent to an intentional infliction of bodily harm. The sex act instantly becomes non-consensual. There's a lot of people that would disagree with that, by the way.
Well, yeah, depending on the level of pain.
But they're saying any
set of pain.
I do not know why Mr. Strong began beating Miss Hachet. Perhaps she objected. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. Motive is not part of the offense, and that's one thing that people have to understand here. He said they said any consent given earlier would have evaporated amidst the grievous bodily harm he was inflicting. They said there's no evidence of specific cause of death in relation to Candace Fitzpatrick. He says, I am satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that she was killed in some unlawful fashion by Mr. Strong.
Oh.
So then he says the fact that both women were dismembered following their deaths and that their remains were stored in a freezer as he sought to dispose of them. He says the charges that Mr. Strong would have twice found himself in need of a chest freezer to store the dismembered body parts of young women who met their deaths innocently is so infinitesimally small to suggest the opposite conclusion. He fucking killed them. Yeah. So that's what they do. They end up finding him guilty of murder of Rory, but as like a manslaughter deal on Candace. It's a different thing here. So during sentencing, Fitzpatrick's dad, the one who shouted out, said that he looked all over the streets of Oshawa and other cities after his daughter disappeared. He said he was devastated hearing that she was dead. After all the years of searching, this was not the outcome I expected. I was shattered by the news. So the judge says, you, sir, may fuck off. Life imprisonment without the possibility of parole for 25 years, because that's Canada's longest sentence you can get. Okay. They don't do life without totally. So the biker connection, by the way, Hachet's father said in a fucking televised interview that prison would be the end of this guy. He said it on camera.
We're going to find him.
He said, we're like a biker gang. We're going to find this guy.
We're in there, and he's going to get it.
So 6 months after sentencing, November 2021, the homicide unit receives information that Mr. Strong, while incarcerated, has disclosed information pertaining to the location of Candace Fitzpatrick's remains. Investigators got an authorization, and they took him out to a small clearing by the tree line behind Secreto Drive in Oshawa. They confirmed that the remains they found were of Candace Fitzpatrick.
What was he trying to get?
He couldn't get it. They got nothing out of it. So he said, fuck it, I'll tell you. They said that
he had to get something, and they're not telling us, right? I'll bet
I'm
somebody
sure.
told he was found by somebody in there, and he was like, I need better protection.
Something.
I'll give you where her body is if you keep those people away from me.
I don't know. So yeah, they said this is Rory's mother said conscience is ugly when you're dealing with it in the dark all by yourself, you know? So I'm not grateful to him. I'm thankful to God that he made this happen. And, you know, I'm happy for the family that they have closure now. Well, then I don't know how you can say that God found the body, but God didn't cause the death then. That's you can't pick and choose that stuff. But I get where she's coming from. And if my kids was murdered, I'd feel the same way. So I'm with you. They said, what I can say is there's no financial compensation or added privilege for him while in custody as a result of our actions. This is from the prosecutor. The question as to why, that would be a question for Mr. Strong. And they said since he's already been convicted on the offenses, they can't add murder now because he already got convicted for the manslaughter.
Shit.
So you can't give an upcharge on it. So that's that. Right. So they said, I mean, it's either way, it would have been the same sentence anyway.
He's staying, so...
Yeah. Then 2022, the cops were called to his house where they found suspicious clothing on the property. And they said that the forensic officers were dispatched to collect evidence, and they're not sure if the clothes are connect to anything or not. But they turned
either one of these two or somebody else. Yeah,
they turned out that who knows. Her father, Candace's father, again said, when I first heard of this, the first thing that came to my mind was that this could be a third victim. Right. But now receiving some more information, I'm hopeful it's nothing suspicious. So there's Adam Strong and there's Oshawa. Do you see why we had to tell that story?
Fuck.
See what I mean? Like, that story's so fucking crazy. The extra people in town, whatever, I don't care.
Nobody knows that, right?
This is fucking insane.
I've never heard of that.
Canadians know about it, I'm sure. There's no way that happens and nobody notices.
Talks about it forever.
Fuck no. Plus, there's a bunch of like YouTube videos about it, and it's a lot going on. Yeah, you can. I'm telling you, watch 2 minutes of his interrogation, and you're gonna go, I can't believe this man is sitting here.
Yeah.
After they found parts in his freezer, and he's this like, hey guys, what's going on?
God.
So there you go. If you like the show, tell everyone about it. Get on whatever app you're listening on. Give us a review. Definitely follow us on social media. We are at Small Town Murder on Instagram, at Small Town Pod on Facebook, at Murder Small on Twitter. So follow that. Also, shutupandgivememurder.com. September 20th, you get tickets for Minneapolis. Be a part of our biggest show ever. Halloween virtual live show, just like a regular show, but in your living room. Tickets are available right now. That's also... Once you get it and watch it or whatever the hell, you'll have it for 2 weeks to do whatever you want with it after it airs. So that'll be a lot of fun. Do that. Patreon.com/crime and sports. Anybody $5 a month or above, you get it all, the whole deal. Tons of back episodes, new stuff, old-timey murders for Small Town Murder this week, so check that out, and you get a shout-out at the end of the regular show. Keep following us. Follow us on social media. Head to shutupandgivememurder.com. Drop-down menu. Follow us there. That said, thank you so much, everybody. And until next week, it's been our pleasure.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
It takes one guy out there to say, who's that Kyle who thinks he can just get on a microphone on a podcast and start publicizing this?
From iHeart Podcasts and Tenderfoot TV comes a new true crime podcast, Crook County.
I got recruited into the mob when I was 17 years old.
Meet Kenny, an enforcer for the legendary Chicago outfit.
And that was my mission, to snuff the life out of this guy.
He lived a secret double life as a firefighter-paramedic for the Chicago Fire Department.
I had a wife and I had 2 children. Nobody knew anything.
People are dying. Is he doing this every night?
Torn between 2 worlds.
I'm covering up murders that these cops are doing.
He was a freaking crazy man.
We don't know who he is, really.
He is my father, and I had no idea about any of this until now. Welcome to Crook County. Available now. Listen for free on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.